right, welcome on in. I see some familiar names. Rule of thumb, if you're clothed, come on camera. And if you're not clothed, why? Don't answer that question. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy you could join us. This is going to be a great hour of your life. We are excited to bring Aaron to you. Hey, just a little bit of housekeeping. We are live in the chat, but we've got you all on mute. If you have questions, put them in the chat, and then I'm sure at one point or another, Aaron will ask you for your questions. And if you raise your hand, we'll be able to take you off mute. I'm Brian Ellington, Chief Learning Officer for eXp Realty. Welcome to this. I met Aaron some time back, and he and I got to talking about how he made his bones in real estate. And by the way, if you don't know, Aaron, his first year made a whopping $13,000. I think I could say a whopping $13,000.
That's right.
His first year in real estate. I'm betting some of you on this call can commiserate. I know I can. But then ended up selling 2,000 homes in his career, 80% of them listings, and 50% of those 2,000 homes came by way of probate. And if you're not familiar with probate, you're about to be. And it is one of those sources of listings that don't dry up when the market goes south because unfortunately, people die, and that's a fact of life. And this is a huge opportunity for us to step in and help those families as they're grieving over their loved ones so they don't have to worry about assets like a home sale because a well-trained agent can take care of them in ways that other agents just aren't able to. Aaron in particular is just an amazing coach. If you're not familiar, he runs the Elite Builders team, about 483 agents in 16 states. But more important, as a coach, he was named one of the top 25 coaching companies in 2025 by Housing Wire. So I was really excited to have him come on and do this. I'm also excited that he's done an extended version of what we're going to talk about today as part of the Elevate coaching program. We really want you to check that out. There's a lot of detail and nuance that goes into this process of probate. Everything from the courthouse on through how you talk to family members who are grieving and maybe not happy with one another. It all matters. So get your pen, get your pad, take out some details, but do check out the coaching program. We'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end. And Eddie Garcia, I agree with you. He is the best coach in the game. All right, without further ado, Mr. Aaron Novello, you have the floor, sir.
Thanks, Brian, and thank you, Eddie. I appreciate that. So here we are with 29 days left, I believe, in 2025. So I have a question for all my brothers and sisters at EXP. How has the real estate market been treating you? Now, I know that if you're a real estate agent on this call, you fit into one of three categories. The first category of agent, 2025 has been exceptionally difficult. And here are the reasons why. The cost of money is still twice as high as what it was 3+ years ago. We went from 6.5 million to 3.9 million transactions. That has persisted for 3 years in a row. We did less transactions in 2024 than we did in 2008. Everybody thought 2025 was going to be better. It is not. It is about the same. What we're also seeing is that inventory is rising pretty much uniformly across the country, with a few pockets that are exceptions, and demand is staying the same, if not softening. And because of that, you have a lot more friction infused into transactions, yes? You got to get better at the pricing portion, listing presentation. You have to get better at price adjustments, right? You got to get better at negotiating offers that come in less than the asking price. And negotiating inspections, like buyers are asking for things. So for that reason, that first category of agent, they are at a place right now where they have either strongly considered getting a job or they already have because they're not making enough money. The second category of agent, For all the reasons that I just described, if they were doing 15, 20, 30, 40 transactions 3 years ago, they're doing half of that today. They're treading water. They're making enough money to pay their bills. They are not making enough money to get ahead. They are also strongly considering their choice of vocation, and they are hoping and wishing and praying to the real estate gods, fingers crossed, that rates come down and makes their job more easier and they can go back to what they were doing 3 years ago. Okay. And then there's a small percentage of agents. Some of you may even be on this call, about 5%, that are having record breakout years. They're making more money, doing more deals than they've ever done in their real estate career. So here's my question to all my intelligent, smart brothers and sisters at EXP. Why is that? How is that even possible? That you can give the exact same environment to real estate agents across the country, not only in our company, 1 million plus, 95% of them are either 1 foot out of the business or treading water and barely getting by, and such a small percentage are crushing it. Drop in the comments why you think that would be possible. That such a small percentage of agents are having, some people say, consistency, Karen says. Okay. What else? Work ethic, experience, systems, daily activities. This is fantastic. I love this. Not enough prospecting, repeat business. What if I told you that any of those was the answer? The answer is strategy. Business is just strategy and people. And very specific environments require very specific strategies. This is true in the physical world, and it's also true in the economic and real estate world. So first, let's have a conversation about it in the physical world, and then we'll bring it into the economic and the real estate world, because I believe it'll make it easier to understand. So I am coming to you live from sunny South Florida. Okay. Anybody went to EXPCon? Cool. We got some awesome beaches down here. Yeah. So let's imagine for a moment that all of us decided at the culmination of our time together on this webinar, and we said, hey, you know what? Let's go to the beach. Now, that is a very specific physical environment. And as such, it requires a very specific strategy. Yes? So what I want you to do is drop in the comments, what would be our strategy? What would we bring with us to ensure that we enjoyed our time together at the beach? Drop in the comments. Wine. Okay. Beer. Well, that's a lot of wine and beer, guys. Okay. Snacks, scuba suit, towel, bathing suit, sunscreen. Here's what's really cool. You guys all know this strategy, yes? Now, has anybody besides me ever forgot one thing on that strategy, like sunscreen, and it ended up radically affecting your experience? Yes. Why? Because very specific environments require very specific strategies. Now, let's imagine for a moment that we got tired of the beach and we said, you know what? We want to change our environment. Let's go skiing. We find somebody on this call that's got, ski arrangements or has a place, and we say, great, we hop on a plane, we go skiing. Now, that is a radically different physical environment. And as such, it requires a completely different strategy. So drop in the comments how the strategy would change. What would we bring with us to ensure that we enjoyed our time together? Skiing. Jason says same answer, beer. Okay. Snow coat, warm clothes. Good, you got it. Some skis, that would be helpful. Maybe some goggles, chapstick, those warm things, right? In my hands so they don't get cold. Yeah. So let me ask you this now. What would happen if we used the strategy for the beach for skiing? Well, yeah, Kia got it right. You die of hypothermia. So here's what I would propose to suggest to all my smart, ambitious brothers and sisters at EXP. If you find yourself in those first two categories of agents, you're not getting your unfair share of the business. You're not earning the money that you want in this environment. It's because you are using a strategy for an environment that does not exist anymore. It changed. Okay? Now, how do I know that this is true? The same way I know the sky is blue and the grass is green. Well, I first started selling real estate in 2006. Anybody on this call been in real estate since 2006? You were selling real estate back then? Yeah. Just me. I'm like the unk on the call, apparently. Me and Brian and like, maybe Jason here. Okay. Well, that was a very specific and unique economic and real estate environment. So for those of you who were not selling real estate back then, let me give you some context, right? Because like Leo always tells us, context is everything. So in that environment, real estate was going up by double digits year over year. People were using esoteric loan products, adjustable rate mortgages where you had a fixed rate for a short period of time and it would adjust. People were taking out HELOC loans against their house, borrowing as much money as they could to buy other real estate, operating under the assumption that real estate always goes up in double digits. That is not true. They even had a type of loan, Melvin, called a no-doc loan. You could show up to a financial institution and say, I make $250,000 a year, and they would say, great, we believe you. You did not have to provide any documentation or proof. That was the environment that I started selling real estate in. I didn't know what I was doing. I had just graduated from the University of Florida. Go Gators. And anybody who could fog a mirror was getting a loan. And everybody's gobbling up these condos to buy for their kids, thinking that it's an investment. So I sold condo conversions. That was my strategy. And it worked in that environment. I made $115,000 in my early 20s as a real estate agent. I thought, Lance, I had sufficiently arrived. Okay. I thought I was God's gift to real estate. But then the environment changed. Yeah. 2008 happened. That is a radically different environment. For those of you who were not selling real estate back then, let me paint a picture of what that environment was like. Just the opposite. Prices going down by double digits year over year. All of those adjustable rate mortgage, Karen, they adjusted. Everybody dumped units on the market because they couldn't afford their payments and the rent wouldn't cover their payments. We went from 4,000 homes on the market in my geographic area to 20,000 homes on the market. 50% of everything on the market was a short sale or foreclosure. So let me ask all my smart, intelligent, ambitious brothers and sisters at EXP, what do you think happened to my strategy of selling condo conversions? It disappeared overnight. And I realized very quickly, I need to pivot. I need a different strategy because if I don't, I'm going to need a new script. And that script's going to be, would you like fries with that, ma'am? I'm going to have to be out of the business. And the challenge is I didn't know what the way was. I didn't know where the opportunities were. And I didn't know what skills I needed to stack time on top of in order to get my unfair share of what opportunities existed in that new environment. But internally, I was at this place where like, I don't know what the way is, but I'm gonna either find the way or make the way. Drop in the comments if you ever got yourself internally to that place. Whatever this is, this relationship, this amount of money, this level of deals. I don't know what the way is, but I'm gonna either find the way or I'm gonna make the way. Because it was unacceptable for me to go backwards and unacceptable for me to get out of the business. So I did what has become a pattern for me when I don't know what to do is I sought out a guide. Somebody who could show me where the opportunities were in this new environment and could show me also what skills I needed to acquire and stack time on top of in order to be able to convert and get my unfair share of what opportunities existed in this new environment. So I took that information, mixed it up with those other things you were mentioning, consistency, discipline, hard work, all that, right? Because remember, if hard work was all it took, the donkey would own the farm. Strategy matters. I took that strategy, mixed up those other ingredients, and I went from 17 transactions to 50 to 75 to 89 to 100 in a marketplace where everything was collapsing around me. I did no short sales, no REOs, and no foreclosures. And now I am no longer concerned, team, truthfully, for myself, for any of the agents that we have the good fortune of working with in our coaching and consulting company, or any of the agents that I have the good fortune of serving now in our growing organization at EXP that's over 483 agents in 16 states with regards to market conditions, because I know the same way I know the sky is blue and the grass is green. That in any environment, there is an opportunity and you're one relationship away from finding it. Amen? And I believe, I truly do, and I've seen it, I've witnessed it, that any of you guys on this call, with the right understanding, a clear picture of the environment that we're currently in, a clear understanding of where an enormous opportunity is, which is probate, and what skills you need to stack time on top of in order to get your unfair share of that business, you could do anything I've done in this business in less time. I spent 17 years of my selling career, selling real estate, doing over 2,000 transactions, 80% of that business being listings sold. And as Brian mentioned, the coaching company named by Housing Wire, top 25, and growing this organization. So this isn't coming from a place of like, I read this in a book and I think it's cute. This is coming from a place of knowing. The Greek word to know means to have a direct relationship with. Okay. So what we're going to do for the time that we've allotted together is we're going to go over a few things. Okay. The first thing we're going to go over is very clearly and specifically, what is the environment that we're in? And for a very reasonable kind of way of looking at it, how long it's probably going to persist for with a high degree of probability. The second thing we're going to look at is this amazing, fantastic source called Probate and why it's such an amazing source and why it's going to be this amazing source for the next 10, 15 years due to this enormous demographic that's behind it. And then we're going to go over some of the skills that you need to learn in order to get your unfair share of this business so you can turn probates into a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 listing a month thing for you and your family moving forward. So I'm curious, who's up for this? Thumbs up in the chat, fire emojis, if this is something that you think is an effective and efficient use of your time. 100%. Okay, good. And I want you to remember something, that high energy equals high income. The energy that you bring to information is the same energy that you bring back to the information when you revisit the information. Okay, so stay dialed in with me for the time that we have. All right, so what is the actual environment that we're in? Because you need an accurate assessment of reality in order to produce a good outcome. I did not say that. Ray Dalio said that. Ray Dalio wrote a book called Principles. He's one of the richest guys on planet Earth. He is the owner of one of the largest hedge funds in the world. He started it in his garage. If he speaks on something pertaining to producing good outcomes, you should probably listen. So what does that mean? I have to see what's actually true, not the way I would like it to be or what I think it is, but what's actually true. Because then and only then can I make decisions in accordance with that, and that'll increase the chances that I'll get what I want. So here's reality, okay? Now, this is for the marketplace that I'm in. It's in my county, but it's indicative of markets all across the country, with few exceptions. That since 2022, inventory has been going up. Yes? Okay. And this is sales, right? And they're staying flat. Now, I don't care what you're selling, guys, whether it's cars, boats, or houses. When what you're selling goes up and the amount of people buying it stays flat or goes down, what happens to prices? Tell me. They go down. That's what happens. Okay. The other thing to consider and factor into this equation is the strength of the consumer. So what these charts demonstrate is the following. In the top left-hand corner, we have experienced very aggressive inflation over the last 5 years. Now, I don't care who you listen to or what kind of, propaganda people are telling us. All you got to do is just go out to eat, go to the grocery store, go somewhere, okay? I took my kids to go get smoothies the other day. It was $55 for 4 smoothies. What you're witnessing is not that things are costing more, it's that your purchasing power is going down. It's taking more dollars to buy the same stuff. Okay? So aggressive inflation for the last 5 years. We have the highest number of credit card debt, record number in the United States, record number of car loan debt, record number of education debt. These are called the facts. It's the way it is. Now, when I start having this conversation, you know what people say to me, Robin? Well, Aaron, you're being so negative. Can't you be a little bit more positive, uplifting? We need an accurate assessment of reality in order to produce a good outcome, okay? I have to see what's true. This is what's true. The other issue that we have is, I don't know if you guys know this. That's right, facts are facts, right? That's what Shan says in the chat. So The other thing that's true is 3 months ago, maybe 4, didn't get much press. Something happened. The United States credit rating was lowered for the first time in 100 years. Why would that affect what we do? Well, let's think about this together as a team, as a fam. How do you think we fund this glorious experiment we call America? If you think it's taxes, I got some land down here in Florida, some swampland I can sell you. Okay. We borrow money. How do we borrow money? We issue bonds. So let me ask you guys a question. If my credit rating goes down, what happens to the interest that I have to pay when I borrow money? Tell me. It goes up. Yes? We have to offer higher interest rates for our debt, which affects the 10-year treasury note, which affects what? Mortgage rates. Anybody notice besides me, they've lowered the Fed funds rate a couple times last year and once this year? And what has that done to interest rates, guys? Nothing. Even though we keep doing stupid posts about it. Oh, now's the time, Melvin. They're coming down. No, they're not. Stop it. Okay. The last time interest rates were this high, guys, they stayed that high for a decade. I'm going to say that again, not because you didn't hear me, but I need that to settle in. The last time rates were this high, they stayed that high for a decade. Let me ask all my brothers and sisters at EXP, are your lead sources such that they can sustain you and help you to grow in an environment where rates stay high for 7 more years? Or is my whole thing that I'm hoping and wishing and praying to the real estate gods that they come down? And look, Jason's like, nope. Nope. Okay. We also have a very big affordability problem. This comes from Fannie Mae. This is not me. This was like, they published this when I woke up this morning. Okay. I'm not making this up. Fannie Mae said in order to go back to the affordability of 2016 and 2019, one of 3 extreme was their word things would have to happen. 1, home prices would have to drop almost 40%. 2, household income would have to jump 60% to $134,000 a year, or 3, rates would have to come down to 2.35%. Let me ask all my smart, intelligent brothers and sisters at EXP, what is the probability that any one of those 3 things happen in the next 12, 18, 24 months? Oh, very slim, Abigail. How about no? 0. Okay. Somebody says it's like getting hit by lightning. Yeah, it's exactly right. So again, I need an accurate assessment of reality in order to produce a good outcome. This is the environment that we're in. So now that we're clear on the environment that we're in, now we can start to think about strategy. Because remember what I shared with you, business is just strategy and people. Yes? So there's only 4 ways to increase any business. And I don't care who you guys are listening to, whether it's Alex Hermosi, whether it's Grant Cardone, whether it's Tony Robbins, there's only 4. The first way is you increase leads. Second way is you increase conversion. Third is ascension. So you sell them like a single family residential home, and then you sell them like a portfolio of real estate. You ascend them into higher products, right? And the fourth is retention. You keep them for longer, like repeat and referral business. Okay. Most agents across the country have a leads problem because we went from 6.5 million to 3.9 million, and that's persisted for 3 years in a row. And with a high degree of probability, it's going to persist moving forward. So that's the one we're going to focus on, increasing leads and learning the skills to be able to convert those leads. So why probate? Why would probate be such an amazing strategy for the environment that we're in to deploy? Well, what I find super interesting, and I mean this lovingly, and I mean no shade or disrespect, okay? Most of the gurus in the real estate space, when they talk about leads, they talk about the 4 horsemen. Expired, canceled, for sale by owners, just listed, just sold, past client centers of influence. That's it. And they recycle them depending on the flavor of the month. Okay. Well, isn't it interesting though? If I'm going to take the time to reach out to people that I can now make data-driven decisions around that. Like you guys realize we live in a world where we can make data-driven decisions, right? So wouldn't it be logical and practical, Melvin, for me to spend time, if I'm going to spend the time, in pools of data that have much higher densities of motivated qualified sellers? Yes or yes? 100%. That's what probate is. Okay. Probate is market resistant and interest rate resistant. Two things, death and taxes. Look, my pastor said something the other day. It was great. Hey, last I checked, 10 out of 10. Everybody dies. Yep. Market resistant, administration resistant, and interest rate resistant. Not only that, 65% of these homes are free and clear. High motivation and high equity. Is that what playgrounds that we want to be playing in as real estate agents? Yes. And there's an enormous demographic behind it. What do I mean by that? The second largest group of Americans in the United States behind millennials is baby boomers. Do you guys know this stat? 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every single day. The average age of a boomer is 70. They make up 20% of the US population. 60+% of them own a home. 60+% of those homes are free and clear. So let me ask all my smart, intelligent brothers and sisters at EXP. What's the probability that probate will be a wonderful lead source for the next 5, 10, 15 years? Super high. Okay. 100%, Kevin says. 1,000%, George says. Yep. He's smelling what I'm cooking. Okay. The other thing about probate is cash conversion cycles are pretty low, right? You guys, like agents making like just listed, just sold calls, cash conversion cycles might take 12 months, right? From the time you talk to them to the time they do something. Probates, from the time you talk to them to the time they do something, it's usually like a 90, 60, 90, 120 days. Like they're going to do something, right? And remember how I shared with you how I sought out that guide and he told me where opportunities were, and where the opportunities were in that environment in 2008 was expired listings. We had historically the highest amount probably ever that we'll ever have. We had 300 a day. I couldn't even call them all. I did 100 deals one year and 75 were expired, Lance. Just murdered it, crushed it, because that's what was available. But then what do you think happened in 2012? Marketplace started getting better. What happens to expireds? They start to disappear. And I would love to tell you that I approached that very maturely. And I said, well, you know, this lead source seems to be dwindling. I must do something about that. That is not what I did. I had a temper tantrum for at least a quarter, banging my head against the wall. Until I realized somebody pointed out, like, hey, you're being myopic. You need to start diversifying who you're calling. You need to find a better lead source. I bumped into probate, learned it. I went from 100 deals to 200 deals. It became 50% of our business. Okay. So again, I know that this, for anybody on this call, can become a 2, 3 thing a month thing for you. Okay. So now that we're clear on probate, and now that we're clear on kind of, well, first the marketplace that we're in and its likelihood of persisting. The next thing that we're clear on is, okay, probate. This makes logical sense. The demographics are behind it. They're highly motivated. They have high levels of equity, right? It's a blue ocean. Red oceans are where there's lots of sharks in the water and lots of blood in the water. That's expired, canceled, for sale by owners, just listed. Yes? Lots of sharks, lots of blood in the water. Blue oceans are where there's less sharks, less blood in the water. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a great white. I can push into red oceans to get my unfair share. I would much rather swim in blue oceans. Yes? Much rather. Just makes logical sense. Okay. So now that we're clear on that, we're clear on probate. Okay, this makes sense. This can help me. This can become a lead source, a leg on the table of my business that is predictable and duplicatable, that the marketplace can create income at will. Okay. Now we have to overcome some internal beliefs, internal and external beliefs around calling these individuals. So drop in the comments, what would be some internal beliefs that you think you would have to overcome to reach out to these folks? Kevin says taking advantage. Good. Offending. Jason, very good. Feels too soon. Too soon? Erica, yep. Not the time. Pissing people off. Difficult to find the deal. Good. Sensitive time. These are all great. Okay. You know what's interesting? You guys all have the same internal beliefs around it. Isn't that fascinating? None of you guys talked about it prior to this call. Isn't that wonderful? Pretty wild. Almost as though you got them from somewhere else. Okay. So one of the ones you guys are saying, like, hey, calling is in poor taste. It's in poor taste. Well, experientially, what I can tell you, and I don't know if anybody on this call has ever gone through like facilitating a probate, being like an executor for an estate and having to deal with the real property and the tangible personal property, which is the contents, it's wildly overwhelming. Not only is it practically difficult, yeah, look, Thelma, Amy, like, yeah, not only is it practically difficult, it's also, Jason says, yes, it sucks. It's emotionally super challenging because we imbue physical objects with meaning. So going through tangible property like contents, it's super emotionally draining and difficult. Not only that, but you also have family dynamics popping up. Yeah. You know, that brother that you may not be cool with. Well, guess what? Now you got to talk to him on a regular basis. And now there's money involved. Oh, yeah. So I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to family members and they've literally said this verbatim to me out loud. Aaron, I went to bed last night. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then you called me. It's a tremendous service that you're providing them, right? Yeah, they need a professional helping them. That's exactly right, Thelma. So the intention is to take as much off of their shoulders and put it onto ours and make it as smooth and easy as possible. Not only can you help them with the real property, but you can help them with the tangible personal property. And that's a tremendous benefit to them. Another one, which came up, right? This is too sensitive, okay? And, you know, what I know to be true is that, again, during difficult times, if you've ever reflected for yourself personally, whether it be, you know, something physically or with health or, you know, something pops up for someone else or a loved one or whatever, like what we search for is guides that can create certainty for us. Somebody that can say like, hey, you know, we've had the good fortune of helping a lot of families under the same dynamics. And I understand exactly where you're at and what you're looking to accomplish. So what I'm going to do is ask you some questions so that way I can determine how I can serve you best and take as much of this off of your shoulders and put it on ours and make it as smooth and easy as possible. Bro, people will inhale a sense of peace as a result because they're like, oh, I'm in the presence of somebody who can actually assist me with this problem. Okay. And that's right. You are providing support. And then another one, people tell me probate's too complicated. It's too complicated. I'm not an attorney. Well, I don't buy that, Derek. You know why I don't buy that? None of you on this call knew how to walk when you showed up to the planet. None of you knew how to talk. None of you knew how to use a cell phone, Lance, but you figured it out. Yeah? Most of you guys didn't know how to use Zoom until 5 years ago. So the point is that we can learn anything, guys, if we just decide to. And the suffix "ide," you know what that means? It means to kill, homicide, suicide, pesticide, genocide. It means to kill off other options. When you decide to learn something, you will. And it's not that complicated. Okay? So now that we've dealt with some of those internal challenges, now we can start to deal with the kind of tactical, right, challenges. Because in order to, once I've gotten myself to a place, okay, I have a clear understanding of the marketplace that we're in. I can clearly see that probate is a wonderful resource in terms of an opportunity. Now I need to technically learn how to do this. Now I need everybody on this call to understand something. And again, I mean this with love. Okay, got my little prop for you. I mean it with love. Most people teach mindset because they can't teach tactics. Listen to what I just said to you. Most people teach mindset because they can't teach tactics. They'll hop on a call like this and be like, you can do it, team. You know what that's like? Sending you into battle, Karen, with a bow and arrow and saying good luck. That's ridiculous. I would never do that to you guys, okay? So I'm going to give you tactically how to do this, right? So you need two things if we're going to reach out to these people. I need a gun and I need bullets. I need data, right, that I can use to reach, and then I need contact information for those individuals, okay? So how do you get the data? There's a couple ways to go about getting the data, and I'll go over them briefly, and I'll give you the pros and cons of each, and I'll let you know what I would suggest, okay? So the first way you can get the data is these vendors. There's a few. I'll give them to you now, all right? No gatekeeping. One is called US Probate Leads. Another one is called All the Leads. Now, the pro to that is that they just give you the data. They just give it to you. Like you pay the money and they send you a CVS file. You can load it into your dialer. Fine. Here are the cons. Number one, you're not in control. If you're taking notes, write this down. Whoever controls the lead controls how much it costs. A lot of people who are dependent on Zillow are finding that one out. Yes, they are. Whoever controls the lead controls how much it costs. Second issue is frequency. Those online providers usually only give it to you once a month. And the source, like the individuals, the group that have known about this lead source forever is investors. And they pound it, okay? Primarily with mailings. Most of them don't call because they're wimps. No, I love you guys if you're investors, but so they send mailers, right? And that's like kind of getting like old expires. They've been beat up already, right? So I want it frequently, like once a week, okay? And then the third issue that I have with these providers is that some of them don't give you complete data. So meaning they only give you like the personal representative or the executor, the person who's handling the estate, but they don't give you any of the beneficiaries. And what I'm interested in is I'm interested in complete data because I have listed so many properties where I couldn't get a hold of the personal representative, but I got a hold of beneficiaries who gave me the contact information for the personal representative, and then I listed the home. Okay. Second way to get that data is by going to the courthouse. Now, this process is similar across the country, but it's not a uniform process. Some courthouses give you access electronically. You just have to pay. Some you have to physically go. Okay. So you have to figure that out in your geographic area. So the con to that is that you have to go. Fine. It's a pain. But what I did is I went probably 5, 6 times when I was first figuring it out, and then I just hired somebody to go for me. That would be the goal. Okay. Here are all the pros. The pro is A, I'm in control. And remember, whoever controls the lead controls how much it costs. B, I can control frequency. I was doing this in 3 counties, and we would get all that data once a week because I want it fresh and I want it now. And then 3, it's complete data. I got all the beneficiaries. I got all the people. Okay. So I would propose or suggest is if you could find one of these platforms, and somebody told me about one recently, and if it can provide all the data and do it frequently, then I'm fine with it. But if that's not the case, I would propose going to the courthouse because of the reasons that I just described. Okay. And then what you need is you need contact information. You need phone numbers, right? So most of you guys have MLS systems that give you access to forewarn. It's the best. Okay. The problem with it is that it doesn't do batch. You can only do one at a time. So what I did is when I had people going to the courthouse, they would gather the data, personal representatives, beneficiaries. They would gather the real property, which is the last known like address, right? Which is the real estate. And then they would take that data and then use forewarn, and then they would load it into my CRM, which was Follow Up Boss. So that way we can call, text, and email. Okay. Yes, Amy just mentioned foreclosures daily. That's the one. And my experience is that I would like Amy, what somebody just told me recently is that they do provide weekly and it's complete data. I would just verify that with them before you pull the trigger. Okay. And then you need phone numbers. And again, Forewarn's the best. If you use Forewarn, they will tell you, do not look up celebrities because if we catch you doing that, we'll kick you off the platform. A buddy of mine did. He looked up Michael Jordan. They called him within seconds. Don't do that. Okay. And the glorious thing is here in the United States, you can do this. For my brothers and sisters in Canada, you can't because you have aggressive laws for data. And we don't. We're the Wild West. Love it here, guys. So now we get to a point like, okay, what do I say to these people, right? And one of the things that people ask me all the time, and on my YouTube channel, I have a bunch of videos like talking about it, is like, how do I even begin this conversation? Well, here's what you don't want to do, okay? You don't want to call and be like, hey, Brian, I heard Grandpa Jim died. Like, you want to sell the house? Don't do that. Okay. So I'll walk you through the opener, and then after I walk you through the opener, I'll break down like what's actually happening. Okay. So what the opener would sound like is something like this. Hi, I'm looking to speak to Brian. And Brian's immediately going to be like, hey, it's like, yeah, my name is Aaron. And I was calling with regards to the, forgive my pronunciation, Ellington estate. And immediately he's like, yo, what's this about? He's going to want to talk to me. Right? Yeah, well, as I mentioned, my name is Aaron and I'm a local real estate agent here in blank, wherever the property is. And I specialize in probate and estate sales of real property. So immediately I'm letting you know who I am and why I'm calling. Anybody besides me ever been on a call with somebody and they don't tell you who they are within seconds and you hang up immediately? You're like, I don't want to talk to you. So by me mentioning the estate, immediately he's like, I want to talk to you. And then by me saying who I am, he's like, okay, continue. and I specialize in probate and estate sales of real property. I was reaching out to you because my head researcher pointed out to me that very shortly, if not already, you will be appointed the personal representative. And again, forgive my pronunciation, the Ellington estate. And I realize I do sincerely that I may be a little premature in some way. I was calling you very respectfully, of course, with regards to the real property on 1265 Plum Street, simply just to find out if ultimately at some point yourself and your siblings, looks like Lance and Derek and Kevin, if you guys had decided that you would like to get that home on the market and to get it sold, and then shut up. So what's happening here? So right off the bat, I'm talking about the estate. It's top of mind for Brian. He's thinking about it. He's going to sleep thinking about it. So he's going to be like, yo, what is this about? I'm letting him know who I am right away. Right? And then I'm deploying tactical empathy. Because in order to do this, you have to have intellectual intelligence, understand the sales process and probate, but you also have to have emotional intelligence. And I'm demonstrating that here. Hey, I recognize, Brian, I do sincerely, that I may be, a little premature in some way. I was calling very respectfully. Of course, you see what I'm doing with my tonality? With regards to the real property off 1265 Plum Street, simply just to find out if ultimately at some point, if the goal and objective of yourself and your siblings, Susie, Tom, and John, why am I bringing up Susie, Tom, and John? Do you know what happens in Lance's grown up brain when I mention his siblings? He's like, you know about this situation. It's familiarity. He knows about this, which increases the chances that they'll do what? Talk to me. Does that make sense? And then they're either going to say, we're going to sell, we're not sure yet, or we're going to keep it. That's it. Right? We're going to sell, we haven't decided, or we're keeping it. And from there, the conversation continues. Now, I want you guys to be crystal clear on something, okay? Pay very close attention to what I'm about to say to you. The leads are not the hard part. It's the easy part. The hard part is conversion. It's what to say and how to say it. That's the hard part. Okay. I can point you guys to all the lead sources. You can turn them on tomorrow and you'll get them. They'll flood your email and you'll have a CVS file with all these leads. The hard part is converting, guys. That's the thing to stack time on top of, right? To learn what to say and how to say it, to turn these conversations into listing agreements. Now, the other thing I want you to be crystal clear on and aware of is that anybody can help them to sell the real property because it's just a real estate transaction. Anybody with a real estate license, right? Whoever adds more value is the one that wins. So drop in the comments, what are some challenges for those? I know there were a couple here that had gone through this before, or if you've helped a client before who's gone through this, what are some of the challenges or problems that families have? Clearing out the home. Repairs, Shelley says. Yes. Understanding the process, knowing the court system and how it works, determining value. Family dynamics, out of state. Yep, all these things are true. Okay. So one of the things, if you're going to go down this route and go pro, and I'm of the mindset, like if it's not worth doing for a decade, it's not worth doing for a day. If I do something, we do it, right? I don't play to participate. We play to dominate. Yes? Okay. So if you're going to play to dominate, you need to create a list of ancillary services and learn how to pitch those ancillary services. Okay. What would that look like? Clear out companies. Estate sale people. We used to have a contact who owned a UPS store who would meet the family at the house because usually how that works, they come down, they get stuff that has sentimental value and whatever's left, they're not interested in. We would have the estate sale person meet them at the house, weigh whatever it is that they want and ship it back to their family, wherever it was on the planet. Right? Movers. We did one that was an hour away from me and the brother passed away. He had a complete garage full with one classic car and all this memorabilia. Our ancillary service met his sister at the property. He put the car and all the memorabilia in a truck and took her to Ohio. Yeah, who do you think won that listing? Yes? Tremendous value that you're adding. So you have to be listening for these things. And one of the things that I would pitch, here's like a pro tip. I had somebody on my team that we called a project manager. Her name was Melissa. And I would pay her per file to handle all these things. Because once you start getting good at this stuff, you know what happens? You might have like 5 of these people that need all this stuff done. And then you know who ends up doing it? You. That is not what you want. Because you're going to end up coordinating all this stuff. And oh, did we get the painting done? And did we get the handyman? No, you don't want to do that. That'll clog up your system and it'll make it to where you produce at mediocre levels of production. Okay? We want you taking 4, 5, 6, 7 of these listings a month. So my project manager. And the way I would pitch this is the following. Let's say I'm talking to Brian. I'm like, hey, Brian, I don't know if this would be helpful or useful to you in some way. It sounds like it might. Is that I actually have a project manager on my team. Her name is Melissa, and she's my personal assistant, which could potentially make her your personal assistant. And what she serves as is she serves as a liaison between you and any ancillary services that we may utilize. Because I know that you're, in Ohio and the properties here in Florida. So for instance, if we decide that we want to do some handyman work, she could have vendors that we work with that are licensed, bonded, and insured. And just so you know, there's no financial incentive for them to use us. These are just people that we know, like, and trust. And they can go over, give us a quote. She reports it back to you. Nothing happens until you say, okay. If you say it's okay, we have them, give them access. They can do the work, and then we connect the two for payment. I'm curious, Brian, would that be helpful or useful to you in some way? Brian's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. That's fantastic, bro. Like, I'm going to bed worrying about this stuff. And you're going to solve this problem for me? Whoever solves more problems wins. Make sense? So you need to get clear on creating those ancillary services and learning how to pitch them. Okay. Now, how do I know that this is like accurate and this works? Heath, he's a partner of ours here in South Florida. I taught him everything I knew about probate. He did 20 deals last year as a part-time agent, full-time cop, and all of them are probate. This year, he retired from the force. He's going to make $250,000 and he's going to do 40 deals this year, and 90% are probate. Okay. Mark Ramey, he's one of the top agents in Orlando. I've coached him for a while. He does 80 deals a year. It's 50% of his business. I taught him probate. Ilya, I just saw him today at the meeting that we did. He went from making $60,000 a year last year to $250,000 a year this year, taking multiple listings, and probate is one of the main pillars in his business. Aisha, she told me that she was a hop, skip, and a jump away from getting out of the business. She got the probate course that we offer. She took a listing within 30 days. She's on track to make more money this year than she's ever made in her life in 5 years in real estate. Robert was one of those agents who was a hop, skip, and a jump. He was doing 20 deals in a market previously, doing half that. He told me he was going to have to get a driving Uber. I taught him what I know about probate. He now takes a listing a month, and it's added $150,000 to his revenue. Chris was the same. He was doing 20 deals a year in a previous marketplace, doing half today. Taught him probate. Now he's, regularly taking listings. Daniel, when I met him, was making $30,000 a year and sleeping on his parents' couch. He now makes $350,000 a year, and probate is one of the main sources of his business. And here's the thing I want you to get clear on, guys. They all started, as it pertains to probate, where you are right now. The biggest difference is they just had a complete system. That's it. Okay? And I want you to be clear on something. They're not different than you, because I can already hear, when I do this, when I have these talks and I share this, I did this at EXPCon, and I could hear in the room, and I can almost hear on this Zoom people being like, yeah, that won't work in my market. Yeah, it's different here. Yeah, like those people are different. No, I promise you, I know these people. I love them. They're not smarter than you. Okay? They're not more experienced, and they're not in better markets. They just have something that you don't, at least not yet. Okay? But here's the problem. It's a sincere problem. What happens with free training? 3% of people actually do anything with it. They jump on a call like this. They might get motivated. It might be interesting, and they don't implement anything. No one uses it. That's exactly right, Thelma. The other 97%, you know what they do? So 3% actually use it. 97%, they take notes, do nothing, feel motivated, and have the same income next year. Here's the problem that I have with that. To my brothers and sisters at EXP, sincerely, having the same income next year might mean you have to do something else. And I don't want that for you. Okay? You're not struggling because you're bad. You're struggling because you don't have the tools. Look at the tools we're using, guys. We're using cold calling scripts from 1995. We're paying money for Zillow leads that are all buyer leads. We're door knocking, and we're hoping and wishing and praying that rates come down. Okay? The amount of progress that a man or woman experiences in their life is directly correlated to the amount of truth that they can withstand. But what if you had a proven lead gen system, methods, high converting scripts, weekly coaching calls, and actual systems and strategies that convert? I mean, truthfully, if you had everything, could you still fail? No way. No way you could fail at this. So there's two roads, okay, and they diverge today. Path A and path B. Here's what path A looks like. You try to do this on your own, okay? You try to go to the YouTube route, you try to figure it out, right? Try to figure out probate, you test different scripts and what to say, and maybe you do a deal one in 12 months. Or what more often than not happens is after about 90 to 100 days, you quit and you say, this isn't for me. Okay. And you lose hundreds of thousands, 5, 6 figures in potential revenue going down that route. You also have to build complex workflows, trial and error, starting from scratch, the high cost of mistakes and uncertain results. Or path B is we do this together. Okay, so Brian came to me and he was like, hey, man, I see what's happening in the marketplace. We need to equip agents. I want to equip agents with a lead source, an opportunity that's predictable and duplicatable so they can get their unfair share of the business, because that's what we do here at EXP. And he's like, hey, man, I heard you got this probate course that you're doing, and it's good and it gets great results. So how could we potentially partner and offer this to EXP? So that's what path B looks like, is you use my system. You learn our proven scripts and methods, specifically what to say and how to say it. Because as I mentioned to you, the hard part is not the leads, the hard part is converting. So you can start booking appointments and start helping people, doing good by doing good, because you will be doing good, I promise you. And that's why I created this, right? Because if I could give you everything that they used, all those individuals I showed you, every template, every script, every system, I mean, you'd agree you'd be guaranteed to succeed. And if such an option exists, drop in the comments. Would you want to hear about that? If such an option existed? Is that something you want to know about? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. All right, good. So here's what I've created for you, okay? After 10 years of real estate agents begging me to put everything in one place. Hey, man, how do you list all those probate properties? Hey, man, how do you do that? Hey, can you teach me that? I finally did it. And what we're offering here via Elevate Coaching is the Probate Masterclass, okay? And what the Probate Masterclass provides is a complete library of every training program, script, template, and system my 7-figure team used to close 50 to 60 probates every single year for 6 or 7 years in a row. But here's what makes it different, because most programs give you the information and they wish you good luck. Peace. Hope it works for you. Okay. And with the Probate Mastery, what it gives you is a complete training, tools, accountability, and coaching. Okay. So let me show you exactly what's inside. You get the step-by-step course on how to get the probate leads with screenshots and screen records. If you go to the courthouse, what you're looking for. Okay. I'll walk you through specifically what to say and how to say it. Remember how I shared with you those conversations can break out into 3 separate after the opener? I'll walk you through those conversations. I'll walk you through how to handle objections, because there will be objections. Okay. I'll walk you through how to create, a coming soon campaign so you can get listing agreements signed, right? And have them waiting to come on the market. It was not uncommon for me to have 5, 6, 8 listings already signed, waiting to come on the market. And why do I want to get them signed before? Because their sisters, brothers, uncles, cousin is going to tell them they can buy it or list it, and somebody's an agent or an investor is going to buy it. Yes? How to set yourself apart from other realtors with your ancillary services, right? And a community where you can ask questions when they arise, and you get access to my office hours. So this course that I provide to the public, right, to agents that aren't with EXP, when they engage with it, they get no interaction with me, 0. It's just completely on demand. And when me and Brian sat down and we were putting this together, like, hey, man, how can we, do something for our friends and family? I'm like, all right, cool. Well, one of the things we can do is you guys have access to my office hours, which is once a week, where you can pop in and ask me questions so I can hold your hand as you integrate this into your business, right? So this can become a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listing a month thing for you. So if that's something that you're interested in, here's the QR code. Okay. We're going to drop it in the chat as well. We're going to open it up for some questions, comments, concerns, because I know we've covered a lot of information. The other thing that we're going to do for you is I never, ever have put this on a discount at all, right? So to the public, the online course, which is completely on demand, where they have no interaction with me, is $1,000. For our brothers and sisters at EXP, and for the holidays, you get a discount code. The discount code is Probate 250. So instead of the $1,000, it's $750. That's our gift to you guys. Okay, to get you one step closer to making probate a wonderful resource for you. So let me put on the timer here and we can open it up for some questions, comments, concerns. Let's see. Well, let me start the timer. Well, let me start the timer. I don't know. There we go. Okay. So what questions do you guys have for me?
And feel free to use the Zoom reactions to raise your hand. You can also
Yeah,
drop it
let's
in the
see.
chat box.
Let's see. What are some websites we use? Yeah, so US probate leads, all the leads is another one. But again, I would propose or suggest you have to find out if they give you all the data or if it's just some of the data, right, as far as beneficiaries. And it was in the comments here, it's just way up there. There was another one that I had heard of that's recent that provides frequent and all the data. So if you can find that, great. If not, go to the courthouse. How much competition do you encounter? Yeah, so my experience is that this is a blue ocean. So none of the real, like me and Brian were talking about this. Nobody really, like none of the main gurus in the space talk about it as a probate, like as a source of opportunities. So you may bump against a couple people, but it's not like expireds. It's not like for sale by owners. It's much less. Your main competition is going to be investors. It's not going to be other agents. Okay. The other thing I noticed, people talked about getting probate certified. It was funny because that guy Heath that I showed you that does 40 deals this year and all of them are probate or like 90%. He came to me one day. He's like, "Hey, bro, I'm thinking about getting probate certified." I said, let me ask you a question. He said, "Yep." I said, "Am I probate certified?" He's like, "Nope." And I'm like, "How many probates do I sell?" He's like, "I don't know, 60, 70 a year." I'm like, "Yep." "So does it matter?" He's like, "Nope." I'm like, "Okay, great. You make your decision?" "Yes." It doesn't really matter. Like those are like building a better mousetrap. Like consumers don't really care. All they care about is that you can help them to get the outcome that they want. Does that make sense? Any issues with attorneys? Well, the issues with attorneys are, and again, if you're an attorney on this call, I love you guys. Okay. They have a tendency to think that they're smarter than us. They also have gatekeepers. So going to attorneys, it's not that going directly to attorneys is bad. It's just a longer game. It's like more hugging babies and stuff and like, kind of winning them over time. So it's not that that's a bad strategy. It takes longer. And I know most agents need income today. So, and I'm of the mindset, I want short cash conversion cycles. So I always went directly to the families and consumers because that's how I could start to take listings right away. And once I made the decision to do this, guys, I went from doing 100 deals, 75 were expireds. I started to slowly stop calling the expireds until I completely stopped calling. The last 5 years of my selling career, I didn't call them at all. And all I did was focus on probate. Sorry if I missed it. Let's see. Do we learn at our own pace? Yeah, you can learn at your own pace. It's online. And then you have access to my office hours so you can ask me questions in my school community. It is an on-demand course. You could take it at your own pace, but you also have access to me in the live office hours. That is correct. Investors offer no-brainer for someone to add value over time. Yep. Agent make the calls. Yeah. So here, I just had this question, Christy, about agents making the calls. And the analogy that I gave them is like, there's a doctor and there's a physician's assistant. Yeah. And the physician's assistant is not as good as a doctor. And your ISAs are never going to be as good as me. So I would propose that like you making the calls is doctor work because it's conversion. If you're going to spend money on the leads, I want to control converting them. So I would stack time on top of that skill and learn how to do that and do it really, 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 really well. So I wouldn't outsource it to ISAs because they're never going to be as good as you. Let's see. Yeah, so they do have, so Hugo, like they do have their own attorneys, but that's why I was mentioning to you, like that game to me, it's like a popularity contest. And you guys have gotten to know me a little bit over a short period of time. And if you follow me online, you'll find that I don't have a lot of patience for that. So they do have, if you want to go that route, you might say something like, "Hey, do you have a preferred vendor list?" Yes. Okay, great. Well, I'd love to have the opportunity to be considered. Do you want to connect and do coffee or something like that? Like you can still do that. I personally know from direct experience and from everybody I taught it to, going directly to consumers leads to revenue faster. 100%, this is a pillar, Lacey, like 1,000,000,000%. Again, 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every year, guys. Excuse me, every day. Every day. 60+% of them own homes. They're 21% of the US population. Like it's a fantastic lead source. California. Yep, I taught it to somebody in California, Thelma. He hemmed and hawed because it took him like 90 to 120 days to get it to all click. He had a month, 2 months ago where he made 60 grand in a month. It's more money he's ever made in his life. So yes. Yeah, I get it. When it's in the budget, bro, come back. Learn first, outsort last. Imagine you have a voicemail script because most people don't answer their phones. Yeah, so I mean, that's like, I personally wouldn't use like leave a lot of messages. What I would propose is that, phone technology is becoming such where, yeah, like answer rates are perhaps a little bit less. But what I do know is that answer rates on text are like 17% versus 2% conversion on calls. So I would do both. Messages are like, okay, people really call back. Yeah, Southwest Ohio is great. Again, old people live everywhere. Where do you put the promo code? Yeah, you put the promo code when you're checking out. It says like coupon code. That's where you put it. Yeah, there you go. Elevate just helped you out. Appreciate you, Elevate. Teamwork makes the dream work. See what you look for at the court. Yes, we do tell you what we look for at the court. We show you a screenshot, screen record, like, hey, this is what you want. You're looking for personal representatives. You're looking for beneficiaries. Now, again, I want to be crystal clear about something. It's not as though like the exact way it's going to look in Florida is the exact way it's going to look in Ohio. It might be a little bit different, but generally it'll be the same. It'll have the personal representative or the executor. They might use different words. In California, they use executor. In Florida, they use personal representative, right? The initial pleading in Florida is called a petition for administration. It might be called something different in Ohio, but the general process is the same. Miguel, you saw where the discount code goes. Oh yeah, the QR code is up. Can you see it? It's right there. Karen says she doesn't know where to add the promo code. Yeah, new data for the courthouse. They usually provide it every day with pleadings. That's right, Peter. Miguel's asking for the discount code. Here we go. We're dropping it in there for you. That's right, Derek. We live in heaven's waiting room, bro. We have the largest elderly population on the planet. Or not on the planet, but in the United States. It's a no-brainer for you, bro, if you're in Florida for sure. So there it is. There's the link, and you just put the probate code in there, and you get the discount. Probate 250. Just above the order summary. There you go. Joey's helping out.
And Aaron, I'm going to unmute Lisa. Lisa has a question.
Yeah, what's up, Lisa?
Hi, I'm actually in South Florida too, so am I going to be
Wonderful.
competing against you and Derek? That's like really scary now. It's really not a question. It's just kind of, it was really weird because one of my sponsors said I'd been talking to them and they'd been telling me, I was deciding I was going to do probate, and they actually sent me a link to your course. And I kind of put it off paying for it. And I'm so glad I did because now I got the discount.
Now
so
you get the
thank you.
discount. Yay.
The best. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. 100%. So thank you for being here. I'm so glad that it's helpful. And yeah, like, I know that it's a wonderful source for anybody across the country. But for us in Florida, like even more so, you know what I mean?
You're not in Palm Beach, are you? Where are you?
No, I actually am in Broward County, but I would go into Palm Beach County to take listings.
Don't.
No. I've been out of production for 3.5 years, so you don't have to worry about it.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But I do know that you'll crush it, and I look forward to seeing you in the office hours just asking questions.
Now I'm excited to do it, and I'm just struggling because it's not taking my payment thing, but thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Who would be the first vendor to add to your probate list? Would you have them? I love all the analyticals on the call, Lacey. They're great. Love them. So, and what would be a different list for a regular vendor? Yeah, so it's just specific to the problems that they have. So the problems that they're going to have pretty much all the time. Tangible personal property, which is a fancy word for contents, helping them get it cleared out. Oh, it's blocked. Here you go. Helping them get it cleared out. Helping them get, stuff shipped. Shipping stuff is a problem. Handyman work like painting, flooring, things of that nature. A dumpster where they can just like get rid of a lot of stuff, right? Yeah, those are charitable donations because the estate gets a write-off for that. So we had relationships with local charities who would come and, clear stuff out. So those would be the ones that I would focus on. And in the online, like on demand portion of the course, I walk you through like creating your kind of vendor list. What other questions you guys have for me? Questions, comments, concerns, observations, hallucinations? You got nothing for me, Melvin? Come on, bro. How long is the code good for? I don't know. I guess we can make it good for like the next 48 hours, maybe. What day is it?
Today is Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah, I think 48 hours is good.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. And we have Aaron with a question.
Cool. What's up, Aaron? Great name, brother. Let's go.
Well, hey, yeah, great name, great name. Hey, quick question for you. I am getting an error code that says missing required parameter, shipping address line one.
Huh.
Um, just trying to get a
That's
little help with that
strange.
one.
I don't know if anybody else is getting that error code. Uh, I guess like maybe like if you either the team here can help or if you DM me like on Instagram or something, I can have my team as well try to figure out how to walk you through that, whatever's going on. But I appreciate you, bro. Look forward to seeing you on the office hours. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Danielle has got a question.
Yep. What do you got, Danielle?
Do you touch upon at all becoming a court-appointed agent? Because I've had clients where the court appointed an agent to handle everything.
Yeah, so I personally don't in that course. The only reason is because I never like went down that path. Because again, that's really like a longer term process of getting appointed by the court and through judges and stuff. And it's not that that's bad. It's not. It's just like becoming like divorce appointed. I just always took the strategy of going directly to consumers because I had control over it and I could duplicate it fast and quick. So in the online stuff, like in the demand, I don't go over that because I personally never did it. But it's not that it's bad. I would just, for me personally, I am always thinking to myself, like, am I in control of this? Because in my mind, they could be like, you know what, you're not appointed anymore, you know, and it just disappears. So I want to be in control. I was actually, to answer your question, like a little bit more broadly, Danielle, I actually had the good fortune. I was on a cruise ship last year and I find myself on a cruise ship with one of the richest guys on the planet. Okay. He's number 76 in the Forbes 400. And I find myself in the gym with him by myself. So I muster up the courage to talk to him because I'm like, I don't want to talk to him. You know, I'm like, no. And I hear my wife and like, she's not physically there, but she's like, bro, you have to go talk to him. Like, you're never going to be in a room with him again. Right. And I go to him and I'm like, hey, how do you make decisions about how to allocate resources, like human and financial? Because that's what CEOs really do. And he looked me dead in the face and he said, control equals money. Figure out whatever you have control over and double down on it and tinker it and make it better. So in my mind, I'm just giving you my logic. To me, that's something they can take away from me. They can never take away from me getting the leads, getting the phone numbers and calling them. Does that make sense?
And we have a question from Lisa. Aaron, do they get an email for confirmation when they've registered from your platform?
Yeah, they should.
Okay. Oh, Lisa, does that answer your question or do you have, yeah, there you go.
I wrote my email address wrong, so it's not going to ever get to me.
Yeah, so if you wrote your email address wrong, like you can DM me or I can drop my email in the chat and then you could just let me know and then my team will make sure you get access.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So let me do that. Hold on. Where's the chat? Yeah.
And is it the admin at Elite Builders?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Any other questions, comments, concerns, observations, hallucinations?
Yes, Jessica, we will email out a copy of the recording. Kia. Do you typically sign at the listing appointment or in the follow-up process, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm always like of the mindset and the philosophy of signing right now. You know, when everybody has always heard this thing, it's kind of like common parlance. It says strike while the iron's hot. Do you guys know where that comes from? Is because in order to actually make like iron malleable, where you can mold it and shape it into things like swords and like, you know, steel that you can build buildings with, is you have to heat it up. And once it's at a certain temperature, it's only at that temperature that you can actually mold it. That's where it comes from. So strike while the iron's hot. So my philosophy in sales is always like, bro, if you're thinking about signing a contract, we're doing it right now. Right now. Because how much changes in the interim? They talk to the neighbor, they talk to their friend, they talk to this, they go online, they bump into somebody else. And then you're like, but Aaron, I thought we were homies. You have a dog and I have a dog. I thought you were going to live with me. No, sorry. So I want it signed. I go there with the intention on getting it signed. And in the prequel, I'll even say that. So like, at the end of the prequel, I'd say something like, well, you strike me to be someone who's super straightforward and to the point. I'm the exact same way. So, provided that when we do connect, if it all makes sense, because I never expect you to do anything that doesn't make sense for you. You check me out online, you do some due diligence, you see my track record and reviews. It seems as though you'd be open to the possibility of hiring me to help you when I see you tomorrow at 6. Is that correct? They're either going to say yes, no, or maybe. And depending on what they say, then I can take it from there. If they say like, well, we're not sure yet. Okay. And I know this is a big decision. You want to make sure you're making the best decision possible. And I mean this very respectfully. It's not uncommon that when I do have the good fortune of meeting with people in person, and they do check me out online and see track record and things of that nature, they do decide to hire me and put me to work. So what I'll do to be prepared for that is I'll bring with me not only the market analysis so we can determine how we need to position a property to make sure we maximize value and get top dollar. I'll also have with me the appropriate paperwork. So if it all makes sense and you feel comfortable, confident, we can take care of it and take the next steps and get started. Sound good? And they're like, okay, listen, people are looking to be led. Your job is to lead them. If you don't believe me, go outside and stand like go to the movies. And instead of standing in line, like stand at like a wall that leads nowhere. Within 10 minutes, you'll have like 15 people behind you. Like, where are we going? Or do this, go like this, go somewhere where there's a lot of people and just look up. Okay. Within 10 minutes, there'll be like 30 people. Like, what is he looking at, bro? I think it's a comet. Like, people are looking to be led. Our job is just to lead them. Last question. Let's see. Follow-up. Yeah, so follow-up is really, 70% of all the appointments that you set will probably come from follow-up. And what I would propose with follow-up is that whatever they tell you when to call them back, just cut it in half. They tell you to call me back in a month, call them in 2 weeks. They tell you call in 2 weeks, call them in a week. How many of you guys on this call have ever waited when they told you to call and then you called and they were listed? So that's how I would approach that. And always be trying to add value when you follow up. So if they told you like, hey, we're looking to get like stuff cleared out. It's like, okay, well, if you don't mind me asking, when we spoke, a few weeks ago, you shared with me that you were looking to get stuff cleared out. We were actually helping another client clear stuff out. And this came up and this vendor, I was thinking about you though. And I just wanted to see if that's something that would be useful or helpful in some way, right? Like always be adding value. Yeah, so it looks like, Bob, it's not accepting it for the 3 payment option. So like it's only if you pay in full do you get the promo. That's how that's going to work. Appreciate you. What other questions you guys got for me? Questions, comments, concerns, observations, hallucinations? We're all one decision away. Look at me, okay? We're all one decision away and one relationship away from a completely different experience. That is true for me. My family grew up living paycheck to paycheck. I made $13,000 my first year selling real estate. My life is radically different because of a handful of relationships, maybe about 5 and counting. This could be that for you.
Yeah. Great.
With no
question.
hyperbole, I'm excited too, Nicole. Let's go. The office
Great.
hours are on Tuesday in my school community. So Tuesday, let's see, calendar. Tuesday at 11:30 Eastern.
Eastern, yeah.
Love it, Miguel. Let's go. Let's grow.
Beautiful. Aaron, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you everyone for sticking with us through Q&A. And we hope to see you all at office hours with Aaron next Tuesday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time.
Let's go. Let's grow. Appreciate you guys. Let's go be great. Talk soon.
Everybody have a great afternoon.